What's up everybody, it's Robin Gaming here. So at this point, you know, liking Call of Duty, it's almost a guilty pleasure type of game. Of course, you know, the franchise gets a lot of hate because it comes out every year, it's super popular, it doesn't really innovate itself. And so I understand, of course, that that's happening, but at the same time, I just notice every single year that I just have a blast with these games. And World War II, which of course came out last week, is really no exception to that. I've been playing the game now for pretty much the entire week, made sure that I got sort of like out of that honeymoon phase where in the first few days you're always like, oh, it's amazing, and then afterwards you look back at it and you're like, well, maybe in retrospect it really wasn't that good. I really had that with Black Ops 3, for example. But no, you know, like I said, I've been playing the game for like a week now and I've just been having a blast altogether. In fact, this is probably my favorite Call of Duty game this generation, and Sledgehammer Games has proven themselves to be my favorite Call of Duty developer, you know, pretty much yeah, right now, because I also really enjoyed Advanced Warfare, and I can't really say I've been, you know, very satisfied, I guess, with what the other companies, Treyarch and Infinity Ward, have been doing recently. So yeah, let's actually get into this, right? This is going to be my little review, I guess, for the game, for those that are still maybe on the fence about it. Now, like I said, Call of Duty doesn't really innovate, and World War II is not really an exception to that either. It still has a single player, a multiplayer, and a zombie mode. So let's simply tackle them all individually, right? Let's start off with the single player campaign. I just thought that the campaign was really good, and you know, of course, this one goes back to World War II, as it says in the title, and that means that the story is just a lot more, I guess, realistic and gritty, more grounded, because you know that these events in World War II actually happened. And so, when you just, in the very first mission, without spoiling too much, when you storm onto Normandy Beach in those boats or whatever, right, and you get attacked and stuff, it is just mind-blowingly well made. Like, it's an experience, and that's what I love about it. The set pieces in this, you know, single player in general are just of a level that's just, you know, that's easily, you know, on the top with other games. So I've just, once again, I've really enjoyed this campaign for what it was. It also looks amazing. I mean, the graphics, I remember back in the days, people used to say how the Call of Duty games looked terrible compared to other competitors like Battlefield and stuff. Now, they've worked this, like, for some reason, they've really changed up the engine and stuff, it seems, but it just graphically looks exactly like it should, which means super realistic. It completely sucks you into the experience, and it's an awesome, you know, it's simply an awesome one, right? The story is great, the story is very well worked out. It focuses more on the characters than the actual events of World War II, which means that, you know, this is really about a squad, a group of people within the military that experience, you know, this whole battle together, right? And so all the characters are well worked out, you learn their personalities more and more over the course of the game, and it definitely gets very interesting towards the end. So, you know, I once again thought that there was not really a lot to complain there. There's a couple of new mechanics, like you now have a health bar, you know, teammates can like throw you ammo or health packs and some other things, which is cool, but it doesn't really change the game up too much. In fact, I would say, for example, with the health bar, I thought that the game might get a bit harder, but that's not really the case. I played it on Veteran my very first time. I beat it within a single day, which also tells you how much I actually enjoyed the campaign. But yeah, you know, it still takes maybe like 6 to 7 hours. I didn't exactly struggle at many points. And I would actually recommend you that if you are going to play this campaign for the very first time, play it on a difficulty like Veteran, because it just helps a lot with feeling like you're there. You know, you're moving up with your allies, you know, inch by inch and stuff. And if you're playing the game on Recruit, you're just gonna be blasting your way through, and it takes away a bit of that feeling of, you know, realism and being there in the war, right? But yeah, you know, on the normal difficulties, it'll probably take you about 5 hours to beat, so it's not exactly long like you're used to from a Call of Duty campaign. The only real flaw that I had with the single player, I guess, is that there's a couple of stealth sections in there. One of them in particular is worked out pretty well, but at the same time, they're not exactly what I want from a Call of Duty game. They're not exactly very fun, I would say. So that's really the only thing I have to critique about the single player, though. I just thought it was very enjoyable. Play through it twice, and I would recommend everyone that if you're going to play this game, definitely go through that campaign, because it's just a great experience. Now, then we get to the meat and potatoes, I guess, of Call of Duty, which is, of course, the multiplayer. I don't really know if many of you know noticed this because we haven't really heard the developer talk too much about it, but this one actually goes back to boots on the ground, which, of course, I'm joking. They've been saying that, they've been throwing that term at us for like the past few months, countless of times. It got, you know, it pretty much became sick-making to me, but yes, this does go back to boots on the ground, to the traditional Call of Duty multiplayer, which also means that it doesn't exactly change too much, right? It is your traditional Call of Duty multiplayer, going back to those original games or to the Modern Warfare series, where there's just not that, you know, jetpack jumping and wall running all over the place. No, it's simple, traditional Call of Duty style gameplay. The class setup is you know, I would say a bit simplified. You now have your divisions, which pretty much you can pick one of them, and they'll have some skills that will fit your type of play style. So I really like playing with the airborne division, which means I get a silencer and I can run faster and for longer periods of time, which is the type of gameplay style that I prefer. They added a few things to the multiplayer. For example, there's now the headquarters, which is pretty much like in Destiny, your hub, where you accept challenges. You can actually, you know, battle other players in 1v1 fights. You can collect your loot boxes and unpack them there and stuff, of course, which they have in the game, which no doubt are going to mean lots of microtransactions in the future, but it is what it is. You know, it's a cool addition, I would say. I really like it, but the one flaw that I have with it is the fact that it needs to load that in every time that you go from a game into the headquarters screen, which means that the loading times are a bit longer than usual, which sucked to see. There is a new game mode, which is the war game mode, and that one I actually found surprisingly fun. It's very objective based, a little story driven, like it starts you off with a cutscene and it ends with one. But it's really like, you know, it's this game mode where you move on from one section to the other and you get a couple of objectives all the time. So for example, you have to move a tank forward by simply standing next to it while the other team is trying to defend it. And they remade a couple of the missions, like in the single player D-Day, where you're arriving on Normandy Beach and stuff. You know, you actually have that now in the multiplayer too, where you're trying to run up to the beach while other players from the enemy team are pretty much trying to attack you with turrets and stuff. So it's very well made, it's a lot of fun, and it actually turned out to be pretty much my main game mode that I'm playing right now in the multiplayer, so that was awesome to see. I do have some critiques with the multiplayer, which is that I don't think there's that much content there as far as like maps goes and stuff. There's pretty much 9 standard maps, one I think map that only unlocks for people with the season pass, so really it's not a whole lot. And you know, if you're used to some of the older Call of Duty games, like, you know, when I played Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1 and stuff, those would launch with 14 to 16 maps, and so having just 9 or 10 now is definitely quite a difference, and that sucked to see. They're also sometimes a bit bland, like very brown or grayish and stuff. And you know, the war game mode, which I just talked about, has like 3 individual maps specifically made for that game mode, which I understand that it needs to have different maps because they're longer and bigger, I guess, but at the same time, having just 3 of them means that it will get repetitive quite quickly, and that sucks to see because of course you gotta wait then for DLC to come out and stuff to really have a lot of variety added. Also, some of the game modes like gun game that I find a lot of fun are still lacking right now, and you know, that's just the one thing. It could use some more content at the moment, in my opinion. But ultimately, I've been having a blast with the multiplayer too, and I'm looking to be playing it for quite a long time to come. Right now, I'm already like getting close to Prestige 1, so I've really put lots of time into it. And it's just, you know, it's overall just a lot of fun. Last, of course, we gotta talk about the zombie mode, which I don't have too much to add on because I kind of grew tired of zombies personally. I really enjoyed it back in Black Ops 1 when it was still quite simplistic and it was new to me at least. I played it with a group of friends and I just had a ton of fun with it. Nowadays, I don't know, I feel like they've been doing the zombie mode too much, where it just got a bit too repetitive to me. I would say this one, I still put like maybe a couple of hours into it. It has a bit of a scarier setting. There's actually some jump scares, which was funny to see. They added, of course, new perks and weapons and stuff. But really, it is simply more zombies. The fact that you now have so many Easter eggs to unlock and, you know, so many secrets. I mean, just unlocking the power alone takes a couple of steps, which is very different from what it used to be. So, you know, all in all, there's just more to do in the zombie mode. It's bigger, the map itself is bigger, they have more secrets in there, and if you enjoy zombies still right now, no doubt that it's going to get you more enjoyment. But for me, I've kind of, you know, I've just sort of like, yeah, stopped being too interested in it. At the end of the day, I look back at Call of Duty World War II right now as simply being a Call of Duty game that once again doesn't exactly maybe do anything new, but at the same time has once again been, you know, just given me such an awesome experience that I've had lots of fun with, both in the single player, which I played through twice and really enjoyed, and in the multiplayer, which I've already put in like over 10 hours into, and that I'm not looking to quit with anytime soon. So really, World War II to me is probably my favorite Call of Duty game this generation. I would totally recommend you to play it. If you enjoy, you know, this type of game, if you've played Call of Duty before, this is a great one to pick up, so definitely do so. I just thought it was super enjoyable. So with that being said, those were my thoughts. Let me know, of course, if you picked up the game and what you thought of it so far. And then for now, hope you enjoyed the video, so leave a quick like to help support my channel. And then I'd like to thank you a lot for watching, and hope to see you again next time.